Uh, Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gentle Yoga Sunday morning. I was telling the class before we started, earlier, that I got a chair and I'm super excited about it. I actually got three of them and they were all rusted and I sanded them and painted them and anyway, I put new feet on them. I put WD-40 on the joints. And so anyway, I'm so excited. I'll try to incorporate the chair a little bit today in class. And then I was mentioning we could also use tennis balls. And remember, everything is optional. Other props that I have are a blanket, two blocks, a bolster, which you could always use a pillow, and of course my mat. Oh yeah, and a strap. Where's the strap? The strap's over here. So we'll go ahead and start out coming down to the ground, but remember you can always sit on a couch or a bed or a chair. To get down to the ground, I like to take blocks in my hand on the medium setting, and then I'll slowly lower one knee down at a time, stepping 1 foot back. And then I like to take a blanket and fold it up to make a little platform to sit on. But it could also be helpful to use a pillow. But actually, I realized we were going to start on our backs. So to come down onto your back, you might start with taking this blanket and making a small roll to rest underneath your heart center. So I think this feels good. But if you don't, you can always skip this part. So I'll put that blanket roll down, move my other props out of the way. And then you might have your blocks handy and we can use those underneath the knees. So once you come onto your sit bones, you can lean back and use your hands to help lower you down. And maybe you find that blanket roll right underneath your heart. And if it doesn't feel like it's in the right place, you can shimmy the hips a little side to side. And maybe sigh out through the mouth, letting it all go as you imagine yourself plugging into the earth. You might cactus your arms out wide to the sides, or if that feels too intense of a stretch, maybe you bring the hands to rest on the belly and then your elbows might rest on that blanket roll. You can bring a soft gaze or close to the eyes, maybe imagining the eyelids like soft, delicate blankets. Allowing your gaze to come inward. For your legs, you can either walk your feet as wide as your mat, allow your knees to tent in towards each other. So they're going to offer each other support. And this can help you relax, hopefully soften into your low back. But some people like a bit of a hip opener here. And so another option would be to bring the soles of the feet to touch and then allow the knees to open out wide to the sides. And then you might take those blocks and wedge them underneath your knees. So give yourself a moment to arrive. And as your body begins to soften, you can start to deepen your breath, really expanding your whole entire torso with your inhale. Feel the expanse anywhere you can in your body. And then with your exhale, allow yourself to soften. Allow everything to relax and release. Draw inward. And as you begin to travel inward, you might imagine yourself almost like a little journey. Maybe you're on the Great Wall of China or something. You can just imagine yourself traveling inward. Imagine this peaceful, serene landscape. Allow this to be your own center of calm. You can always allow yourself to remember that you can come back here at any moment. So often we're looking for messages from the outside world. But as you gaze at this picturesque landscape of your own creation, maybe there's a message hidden there. You might notice a little babbling brook. Imagine a little spring bubbling forth. And you can allow this message from yourself to be your intention for your practice today. If you'd like an idea for a message, the theme for class today comes from the yamas and the niyamas, and we are on the 5th yama. It's the last one. It's called aparigraha, and it means non-possessiveness. And I really should have grabbed my readers for this. Aparigraha, or non-possessiveness, can also be translated into non-attachment, non-greed, non-clinging, non-grasping, and non-coveting. You can simply think of it as being able to let go. Loving and living fully without attachment is not an easy thing. When we experience the completeness of being loved, the satisfaction of a superb meal, the acknowledgement of work well done, you can easily want to hold on to those moments and never let them go. It is easy to want the same satisfaction and begin to demand the same fulfillment from these things again and again. But it is the nature of things to change. And by failing to let them change or move on, they begin to disappoint us. And our attempts to hold on begin to make us stale and discontent. What we try to possess possesses us. So how do we move through life loving deeply and engaging fully without getting attached? Looking at the inhalation and exhalation of breath can give us a glimpse into the ability to let go rather than be attached. The guideline of aparigraha invites us to let go and to pack lightly for our journey through life, all the while caring deeply and enjoying fully. So you can allow that guideline of aparigraha to help guide you through class today, if you like. If you're ready to invite some movement into the body now, we can remove the blocks off to the side and then go ahead and sweep the thighs together. Allow your knees to meet up towards the sky. You can either leave this blanket roll there if it's feeling good, or you might move it off to the side at any time. Go ahead and walk your feet as wide as the mat now, and we'll start to allow the knees to soften to each side. You might allow them to pause on the left. Maybe turn your gaze over towards the right. Just finding a little stretch through the side of the neck, maybe in the hips. Notice where you feel sensation. Then on your inhale, you can sweep the knees up towards the sky. Exhale, allow them to soften onto the other side, turning your gaze in the opposite direction. Take a few rounds of breath here, or move side to side. Whatever would feel best in your body, you can either linger for a few breaths, or maybe you find windshield wiper knees one breath at a time. Let the movement be your own. Tuning your awareness into your body, into its messages, into the sensations. Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath on each side. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to center. Bring the knees up towards the sky, planting your feet on the mat. And then stretch your arms out wide to the side. And on your next inhale breath, we'll sweep the arms up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, cross the right arm over the top of the left, giving yourself a nice big hug. You might find stillness here, allowing your hands to grasp your opposite shoulders, or maybe it would feel good to gently draw a little line on the ceiling with your elbows, just gently rocking side to side. Imagine your elbows are just painting a little line in front of you, a horizontal line. Maybe as you gently rock from side to side, if you're on the blanket roll, you might feel the blanket roll traveling possibly up or down the length of your spine. Maybe you find a little bit of massage there and sensation. Take one more nice deep breath, and then we'll come back to center. Inhale, open your arms out into a letter T. Take a nice deep breath, stretching your fingertips out from your shoulders. Exhale, soften onto the ground. And then take a moment to call to mind someone special that you'd like to send a blessing to or gratitude to. And they can be someone that's still with us today or someone who might be elsewhere. And then as you gather up that love and gratitude for them, let's send that out into a hug by stretching the fingertips up towards the sky. This time, wrap the left arm over the top of the right. You can send out that hug, and maybe you gently rock a little bit side to side. And if that blanket roll was traveling up your spine, maybe this time as you rock from side to side, the blanket roll might travel down your spine. Breathing into that sensation and feeling that nice warm embrace. You kind of might imagine them hugging you back. And then we'll take one more nice deep breath. On your next inhale, you can float your arms open to the side, opening them back up into a letter T. And then we'll bring the palms up towards the sky. You can point the palms up. So imagine you're almost like pressing your palms on the ceiling. On the inhale breath, you can press the palms up, lifting the shoulders. And then exhale, allow the shoulders to soften back down towards the ground. Let's try that 2 more times. Inhale, press into the earth or press into the ceiling as you lift the shoulder blades. Exhale, soften them back down. And one more time like this. Now on the next exhale, you can soften your palms down towards your hips. And then we'll inhale, float the arms up and overhead, reaching the fingertips past the ears. On the next exhale, you can float the palms down towards the hips, and you might start to lift the head, curling the chin towards the chest, finding a little stretch in the upper back. Inhale, float the arms up, soften your head back down. And then exhale 2 more times. We'll take this movement. then the next exhale, you can soften your hands towards your hips. Put your hands out to the side, and then we'll press into the heels. Slide the hips over to the right. You can roll onto your left side, press yourself up, and then let's move the blanket off to the side if you still have that blanket roll there. And I'd love to hear after class how you're feeling about those movements. I find it such a nice massage on the back, but I'm wondering if for some of you it might be a little bit too intense. And so we're going to grab some props to have handy as we come down to the mat. So I have the strap here, I have a tennis ball, and I'll have a block handy. So you can plant your feet on the mat, reach your hands out in front, and then grab hold behind your thighs, draw your knees in towards your chest, and you can roll onto your back. Now we'll soften the back down towards the mat as you hug the knees in towards the chest. If this feels too far away, we can also use a strap here. Instead of maybe hugging your hands behind your thighs, you might wrap the strap around your shins, and that might give you a little more space. Take another nice deep breath here, hugging the knees in towards the chest. And then you might switch it to happy baby pose, walking your hands up onto your calves. Maybe you give your calves a little squeeze. You might bring them up to your ankles or your feet. And this would be an opportunity to use the strap here too. If you wanted to, you could wrap it around the legs. And then that's just giving you some extra length for your arms. Call that Go-Go Gadget arms, for those of you who remember that show. And maybe you gently rock a little bit side to side. You might stretch one leg long at a time. So this is my first time actually trying Happy Baby with a strap. And I quite like it. It's a little different. So it was just here and I thought, why don't I use that? Take a moment in your Ananda Balasana, Happy Baby, to just smile warmly on yourself, imagining yourself as that playful baby. Maybe you even bring the soles of the feet to touch, allow the knees to open out wide. We'll take one more nice deep breath like this. And then on your exhale, if you have your feet touching, you can go ahead. I have the strap around my feet still. You can go ahead and allow the feet to land on the mat with the strap wrapped around the feet. From here, you have two options. We're going to do a little bit for core engagement. So you could, if you're not wanting to use the strap, the more challenging version is going to be to press the palms up towards the sky, imagining you're pressing on the ceiling. And then on your exhale, you would press your soles of your feet together and then bring your knees up towards your elbows. And then we can exhale to release. Inhale to lift. Okay, and then the other option is if you're wanting to use the strap for assistance, you could keep the strap around the feet and then soften the whole leg situation to the ground. You're holding on to the strap here, and we're just using the strap to help us lift the knees. Still try and see if you can have a bit of core engagement. So it's not all in the strap. The strap is there for assistance. See if you can press your low back towards the mat and then allow those knees to float up. They're going to come in the direction of wherever your elbows would be. Let's take one more nice deep breath like this. And then when you're ready, you can release your feet down to the mat. Slide your legs long, reach your arms past your ears, find a nice long body stretch. Take a nice big inhale and then sigh it out through the mouth, softening all of your effort. Just take a moment to soften here. While we're on our back right here, we can take a bit of a side bend. So you could start to lift your arms and your torso, glide them over to the right. So you're reaching your left arm long. Then maybe you start to slide your legs over to the right. And you could imagine yourself coming into a banana-like shape. If you feel you'd like to try and deepen this stretch, you might gently take your right hand around your left wrist. And then maybe you reach your right ankle over the top of your left shin. Allow yourself to soften here, finding length all along the left side. We'll take one more nice deep breath. And with your next inhale, you can bring them both back to center. Unwind your binds, find a nice long body stretch, and then we'll take it to the other side. So you can lift your torso, lift your arms, float them over to the left, finding length all along the right side. And then you can walk your legs a little bit over to the left. Imagine you're finding a C curve in the body. Maybe it would feel good to grasp hold of the right wrist with the left ankle, with the left hand. And then you could wrap the left ankle over the top of the right shin. And you can also think about allowing yourself to let go of any extra effort here. What would that look like? How could you release extra effort in the jaw? How can you even soften your effort here 10%? So you're not going to the full extreme edge, but just enjoying this place in between. Take one more nice deep breath here, and then we'll come back to center. You can take a nice long body stretch. On your next exhale, float your hands down towards your hips. Press your feet into the mat, and then we'll find a bridge pose. So you can walk your heels in towards your sit bones. Allow your heels to root down, and then on your inhale, you can press into your palms, lift your hips any amount. On your exhale, you can soften your spine back down. Imagine you're able to roll it down one vertebrae at a time. Come to rest for a moment. And then on your next inhale, lift your hips, come into your bridge, Setu Bandhasana. Exhale, soften back down onto your spine. Go ahead and take 2 more rounds like this. And the next time you float your hips up into a bridge, you can either find an active bridge staying here by like shimmying the shoulders underneath the body, and you might interlace the hands behind you. And you can stay here for a few rounds of breath if this feels good. At any moment, feel free to reach for a block or a pillow, slide it underneath your very low back. We call that your sacrum. And then allow your sacrum to rest here, coming into a supported bridge. And you can take a few rounds of breath, softening into your supported bridge. If this feels too pokey on the low back, maybe you could put the blanket over the top of the block. to make it a little bit more padded, or find another pillow to place on top. You might tuck your hands towards the block, reaching your fingertips down. And then maybe from here, you want to extend one leg up towards the sky. You might rotate your ankle in one direction and then the other direction. You can do one leg at a time or both legs at the same time. If you're doing one at a time, you can land your right foot and extend your left leg up, rotating your ankle. And imagine you have little Valentine hearts right at your heart center. Allow yourself to send little Valentines to your toes, to your feet, thanking them, admiring them. And then when you're ready, you can bring both feet down to the mat. You can either stay with your sacrum on the block if that feels okay for the sacrum. If it feels uncomfortable, definitely press into the heels and come off of the sacrum. But I thought we would try a little psoas stretch here and a little bit of core engagement. So we're actually going to start with the core work, which will be some toe taps. So you can bend the knees, bring the legs up to hover. And as I mentioned, if this feels too ouchy on the back, you can just come down onto the mat. And this is actually a little bit more challenging, I think, here than it is with the block. So I'm going to use the block. So we're going to have our knees up towards the sky with the legs bent, the knees bent. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and lower your right toes down towards the ground. And then exhale, bring them back up towards the sky. Inhale, soften the left toes down towards the ground, and then exhale, draw them back towards center. So go ahead and take a few toe taps, and maybe you don't go very far. It could be still very challenging just to even find any movement here, and not maybe take your toes all the way down to the ground. So find a few more rounds, following the pace of your own breath. When you're ready, we'll come back to stillness. And then you can lower both feet down onto the mat. From here, with our hips elevated, go ahead and slide your left heel out long. And you might find a nice stretch through the left hip flexor. Take a nice deep breath, and then maybe you sweep your left arm long overhead. And you can hold on to the block with your right hand here. Find a nice deep stretch through the front of the left hip, pointing your left toes up towards the sky. Then on your next exhale, you can bring your left hand back down towards your hip, bend into your left knee, plant the left foot on the mat, and then we're going to do the other side. So you can slide the right heel, lengthening through that leg, keeping still a soft bend to the knee, pointing the toes up towards the sky. And then maybe you sweep the right hand up, find length all along the right side. Breathing into your right hip flexor. in your psoas muscle here. And then on your next exhale, you can rainbow that right hand back down towards your hip. Plant both feet on the mat. Press into your heels. Lift your hips to slide the block out from underneath you. And then roll your spine back down one vertebrae at a time. From here, you can either hug your knees in towards your chest, rock and roll up and down the length of your spine, or you might roll onto one side and press yourself up to a seat. And I just realized we forgot to do the tennis balls, so we'll do that at the end of class instead. So from here, find a nice comfortable seat for a moment. So we can take the folded blanket, if you like, for a little height for the hips. And then you might bring the blocks off to the side. Then from here, we're going to sweep the right leg long. Now, if you're on a pillow, you don't want to hyperextend your knee. So if you do want to put another folded blanket underneath the knee, if it feels like it's too far away from the earth. And then remember, you can also do this seated as well. So from here, we're going to turn the torso to face the right toes. And you might bring a strap if you'd like, or we'll bring those two blocks on either side of the right leg. So if you're going to use the strap, you would take the strap around the ball of the right foot. So from here, as you gaze down at your foot, you can hold the reins with either hand and then just start to draw your heart towards your knee. Maybe you don't want to go that far, but maybe you'd like to use the blocks instead and press your palms into the blocks. And as you start to lean forward, you could start to round if that would feel good, but maybe you keep this active by inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to allow yourself to fold. Then you could find just micro movements here. Inhaling, imagine your crown of your head is reaching forward, extending through your spine, and then exhale, allow your heart to melt towards your knee. Allow your breath to be long. You can keep a slight flex to your toes to engage the leg. Then on your next inhale, press into the supports to lift your torso up. You can bring it back to center, and then we'll drape the hand onto the leg or onto a block. Or even you could bring a pillow and drape it onto a pillow. See how that might work. If I brought this big bolster. It's a little too big for that. So then we're going to inhale, sweep the left arm up towards the sky, and then exhale, allow the right arm to float down the right leg. As you reach up and over, you might gaze up at your hand. And maybe, again, you don't want to go too far. You could back off 10% more. We're going to start some gentle no nods now. So as you inhale, gaze up at your hand, and on your exhale, allow your gaze to float down towards your bottom hand. Inhale, sweep the gaze up, and exhale, soften the gaze down. One more time, just like this. On the next inhale, imagine you have a big beach ball and float both arms up towards the sky, and then exhale, draw the hands towards the heart center. From here, we'll bring the hands back behind us. You can extend both legs long, give them a little shake, and then we'll draw the right foot towards the left thigh. You can bring whatever props you'd like over to the left side. And maybe we start with the strap. You could lasso it around your left foot and then draw the reins back with your hands. Inhale to lengthen your spine. And you might even just stay here, just allowing your heart to lift and stretch in the direction of your foot. Or you could start to lean forward. You might bring your hands onto blocks instead, keeping that slight micro bend in the knee by flexing the toes up towards the sky. On your inhale, you might continue to press in, lift and lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold any amount. Go ahead and play around with your inhales and exhales, finding expanse, length, allowing your crown to point up towards the sky. At any moment, it might feel good to fold over that leg. And then whenever you feel ready on your inhale, you can press into the earth, rise back up to center. This time we'll sweep the arms up and overhead. You can go ahead and allow your left hand to melt down your left leg and then reach the right hand up and overhead, finding that side bend as you curve down towards the left. You could always use another support like a block. Here I'm using a block underneath the forearm instead of resting the hand on the inner thigh. So allow yourself to explore, play around, and then you might gaze up at your fingertips. And then on your exhale, allow your gaze to float down towards your bottom hand. And as you float your gaze up and down, you can imagine yourself softly saying no, allowing for that release, aparigraha, non-attachment. What can you let go of? And what can you say no to? Take one more nice deep breath, and then the next time your hand floats up towards the sky, go ahead and lift both arms up, bringing a big beach ball overhead, and close the fingertips down towards the heart center. And release your hands behind you, stretch both legs long, give them a nice little shake side to side. And then we're going to get ready to come next into hands and knees. So I'm just going to move some of these props off to the side. And to come to hands and knees, one fun way that you might try, and don't feel free to not do it if you'd like, is to come to a cross-legged seat, and then you can bring your hands out in front as you roll over your shins. You can slide your feet behind you, or just come into hands and knees however you'd like. Now, you might like extra padding for under the knees, and in that case, you can unfold your blanket maybe to make a soft pad. And remember, you can do this cat and cow movement from a seat. I forgot to demonstrate that. But you would stay seated, and then we can move our spine into cat and cow by inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the heart, and then exhale, Draw the belly button in towards the spine, arch the spine, coming into cat. And of course, you can do this from a seat or from a chair. As you move your spine, imagine those little Valentine hearts circling the spine with gratitude. You might also practice awe and wonder. And feel free to change up the movement anytime you like. You might start to find some circles with the belly button, breathing into all the corners of your spine. Noticing the sensations, maybe radiating into the hips, into the low back. We'll take another nice deep breath wherever you're at. And if you're drawing a circle with the belly button, feel free to switch the direction. Let's take a few more breaths in case you're finding that symmetry. Take one more nice deep breath in your cat and cow, and then we'll meet up in our tabletop. You can start to draw the belly towards the spine. Imagine your hands are getting lighter on the mat. And then on your exhale, turn your gaze past your left shoulder. Draw your left hip towards your left shoulder. Inhale to come back to center and exhale to switch sides. Go ahead and take a few more rounds of breath on each side. And then when you're ready, you can come back to center and we'll find child's pose. So you might bring the big toes to touch, open the knees wide, sink the hips back, walk the hands out in front, lowering your forehead down to the mat. Or you might try today what's called quarter dog instead. And we'll do this side to side. So I'm just going to come back a little bit further on my mat. For quarter dog, it's almost like that child's pose, but you're going to bring one forearm. We're going to switch sides. So I'm going to start with the left forearm underneath the forehead, and then you can stretch the right arm long in front of you. And you might really allow, instead of your hand to soften and drape, you might really press your right hand into the mat and allow your forehead to rest there on your forearm. It might even feel good to rock your forehead side to side along your forearm. Allowing your forehead to receive and to give a little massage to your forearm. Take another nice deep breath on this side. And then when you're ready to switch sides, you can plant the right palm underneath the shoulder, come up to your tabletop, bring that right forearm now underneath the forehead, stretch the left arm out in front, and your hips might be pointing a little bit more up towards the sky than typical child's pose. So it's a little bit more of an active stretch. Allow your forehead to gently massage your forearm. Take one more nice deep breath there. And then we'll plant the palms underneath the shoulders. Come up to your tabletop position. We're going to be coming onto our bellies next. So it's okay to have the blanket there, but if you find that it might feel like it's in the way, you can move it off to the side. And then from here, you can come onto the forearms, walk your knees back, and you might just pause for a few rounds of breath here in a forearm plank on your knees. You might exhale, soften onto your belly. And then we can take a few rounds of coming into what's called a pouncing sphinx. So when you're on your belly with your elbows underneath your shoulders, you're in a sphinx pose. If you want to turn this into a pouncing sphinx, we're going to just lift the belly button. And you might even energetically lift it. Maybe you're not lifting your body at all. You're just finding that little bit of micro movement. Or you could find a bigger movement. And for this, I'm pressing my toes into the earth and then lifting just the belly button so that I'm still balanced on the elbows and the knees. And you might exhale to soften back down. Maybe you rest for a breath in your Sphinx pose. And you might take 2 more rounds of your pouncing Sphinx. So finding a nice deep breath and then exhaling, lifting the navel center any amount. Finding that comfortable place that's a bit sustainable, but also you might feel a tremble. I know I feel a tremble here. On your next exhale, you can soften onto your belly and then go ahead and press your belly into the earth. You can lift your legs one at a time, lengthen them, untuck the toes, and press the tops of the legs and the feet into the mat. And then anchor your elbows underneath your shoulders. Press into the earth to lift the heart center. We call this Sphinx pose. Maybe you take a moment to soften, allow your shoulders to reach up towards your ears. And then on your next exhale, allow your shoulders to melt down your back, lifting your heart. Then we'll stack the palms, bring the elbows out towards the sides. Allow your whole entire forehead to rest on the back of your hands. Relaxing all effort, soften through your glutes, soften through your low back. It might feel good to kick the heels towards the sit bones, bending into the knees, and allow the heels to gently windshield wiper from side to side. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, we'll bring the feet, the tops of the feet back down to the mat. You can lift the head, bring the palms right underneath the shoulders. Bring the elbows tucked into your side. And then just lift the heart. You're already in a baby cobra right here. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Just lift the heart ever so slightly. Exhale to release. Inhale, roll the shoulders up towards the ears. Slide them down the back as you lift the heart into your baby cobra. Exhale to soften. Inhale one more time, lift for baby cobra. Exhale to soften. And then we're going to come up to tabletop. So you might tuck the toes under, press the palms underneath the shoulders, press into the earth to lift up into your tabletop position. And then we're gonna come into our downward dog in order to come to stand. But you can also skip downward facing dog. I wanted to show how you could possibly use a chair. So I did get my new fancy chair to do a downward facing dog. So I'm going to bring the chair to the edge of my mat and use the chair to step up. I'll bring left foot towards the chair, tuck my right toes under, press up onto the chair, and then I'll walk my feet back to lengthen through the spine, using my hands on the seat of the chair to find length for a chair dog. And it's really fun. You can actually do whole entire movements and sequences with the chair. So I'll maybe demonstrate a little bit of that today. Right now we're doing downward dog, your version, whatever would feel good to you. You might sashay the hips a little side to side. Find length through your spine. And then whenever you're ready, you can walk your feet towards your hands or your hands towards your feet, and you're in a forward fold. So I'm actually in a forward fold with the chair. Go ahead and exhale, release your head down towards your feet. And then you can press into your shins, blocks, or chair to inhale for halfway lift with a flat back, lengthening through the spine. Actually, the chair is so nice for a halfway lift. Exhale, allow your heart to melt towards your knees, towards your toes, coming into forward fold. And then we'll inhale here for halfway lift. Oh yeah, lengthening through the spine. Exhale to forward fold, and then you can sweep the hands down towards the feet. We'll float the palms out to the side, bend slightly into the knees, press into the legs, float your arms up towards the sky, look up. Exhale, draw the hands towards the heart center. Let's do that 2 more times. We can inhale, sweep the arms up, look up. Exhale, draw the hands towards the heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up, look up. And then exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. And go ahead and release the hands to your sides, finding Tadasana, mountain pose. From here, you might feel your feet rooted down on the earth and start to lean the torso forward. Exhale, start to lean back. And then now find side to side. And just allow yourself to explore. Feel the bottom of your feet rooting down. And notice how we think of our feet as flat. And can you almost feel them round? Press into all the different areas of the feet. And then see if you can soften and slow, finding that center, that balance. Allow yourself to soften in center, and then feel little roots growing out of your feet, rooting yourself down into the earth. Allow yourself to feel the support, the nourishment, and notice how you can't stay really in a perfectly still center. Balance requires movement. And then you can blink the eyes open. And we're going to give some love to the feet. It's like the theme of class seems like it's Valentine's feet. So we might as well give the feet a little massage with our tennis ball. So if you have one tennis ball, you can also use the chair for support. So you can use any kind of, tabletop if you want for balance. So I'm just going to have the chair here to demonstrate because I love my new chair. So we're going to root down in our Tadasana mountain pose and then start to peel your right heel off of the mat so that your heel is lifted. You're just finding a gentle pressure on the toes. And then we'll lift the foot all together up off the ground, set it on the ball, and then you can start to glide your foot up and down the length of the ball. Since the theme for class today is Valentine feet, send all those little love, gratitude, heart bubbles from your heart center down into your feet. And then start to offer yourself those same little bits of gratitude, just thinking of all the amazing ways in which your feet have taken you through life, all the places you've gone. You can have a loving moment with yourself, reflecting back. And then you might even find stillness. Maybe you find one particularly interesting place. You might close down the eyes and just soften into that place. And then we'll blink the eyes open. You can move the ball off to the side, plant both feet on the mat, coming back into your mountain pose Tadasana. Take one more nice deep breath here. And we'll blink the eyes open, get ready for the other side. So start by peeling your heel off of the mat, just pressing into the ball of the foot, starting to notice sensation here. Sending bubbles of gratitude down into the feet, down into the ankles. And then we'll go ahead and bring the foot onto the ball and just find that glide, that massage. You're moving at your own pace, in your own way. You might pause. There's a place of interest. Once more, send all of that gratitude from your heart down into your feet. Maybe you're noticing subtle differences from left to right. Just allow yourself compassion and curiosity. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. And then whenever you're ready, you can release your foot from the ball. Stand both feet on the mat. Take a moment to soften your gaze or close down into your eyes. And then we'll blink the eyes open. I'm going to move the ball off to the side. And then the sequence we're going to try will be really fun with a chair. But remember, you could use a small stool tabletop or blocks for this. So we're going to stand next to your item of support, and then you can inhale, sweep your arms up towards the sky, reach up and back. Exhale, swan dive, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Bring your hands onto blocks or onto your chair. Allow your head to hang heavy in your forward fold. Then we'll inhale, press into any supports for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale for halfway lift. One more time. Inhale, forward fold. Let it all go on your exhale. Inhale, press up halfway. So now we're going to stay here in our halfway lift. We're going to come into a lunge. So you can step your left foot back, tuck your toes under, and you would do this also with the blocks. If you wanted, you can have your hands on blocks, or some people might have their hands on the ground. That's okay too. So we're finding our high lunge. Feel whatever's supporting your hands, make sure it's steady and supportive. It's not going to topple over. You're finding that nice stretch through the foot. And then we're going to turn this into a warrior three. It's called Virabhadrasana 3. So I'm going to heel toe my right foot over. And then you can start to walk your left foot in. And we're just going to find balance here. I'm actually going to move the block, or I'm sorry, this is my chair, out in front a little ways. And you can just start to lift that left foot up and back. Now you can stay right here with your hips level to the ground, or you can start to open your left hip up towards the sky. And then I'm going to plant my palm right here on the block, or on the chair, or maybe to the edge of the chair. Just something so you feel very steady with the chair with your right hand. And then maybe you start to lift your left hand up towards the sky. This is actually maybe even a little easier with blocks than with the chair. I find it a little bit challenging. So you could also keep your hands right there on your prop. On your next exhale, you can rotate your hip back down towards the ground. Bring both feet underneath your hips. Take a moment to grab your opposite elbows and just hang heavy. You could ragdoll here from side to side. And you might shake your head no, or nod your head yes. And then we'll release the hands out to the sides. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Come up to stand. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. And then release your hands to your sides. So that I'm still facing you, I'm going to move my chair to the other side. We're going to try that same sequence on the other side. Now we're also realizing we can play around with this. I think actually this time I might just demonstrate with the blocks because it was very challenging with the chair. Okay. So if you're going to use blocks here, we're going to inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward, lead with the heart. Inhale for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. And then go ahead and plant your blocks on the mat. We're going to keep the left foot forward, step the right foot back. So you're coming into your high lunge here. Hands can be on the ground, on blocks, or on the chair. Take a nice deep breath here. And you can always stay at any one of these places along the way. From here, we're going to start to walk the blocks forward. Step the back foot in, little bits at a time. Blocks forward, foot in. And then we're going to try Virabhadrasana 3. This is Warrior 3. So root your palms down, start to kick your right heel up and back, keeping the hips as level as we can, engaging through the glutes. And then you might step the left palm, the left hand out to the left, allow the hips to stack. And then maybe you float your hand up. This is called Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. It could be very nice to do this next to a wall. So if you had a wall space, you could do this right next to the wall so that if you felt like you might fall, Well, first of all, you don't have to lift both hands, but it can be nice to have a wall right behind you so that if you felt like you might lean over, you could lean into the wall. When you're ready, we'll move both hands back to our blocks or the chair, level the hips, step the feet together, and then allow yourself to hang heavy. Maybe you wrap your hands around your opposite elbows. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then you can release your hands. We'll press into the feet. Inhale to sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. Release your hands at your sides, coming into mountain pose. Maybe taking a moment to close down the eyes or soften the gaze. So we're going to get ready to come back down to the ground now. And before our final resting pose, I always like to give some choice time. So whatever would work for you. And then the option I will give is either going directly to Shavasana, or you might want to stretch the hips in a figure 4. So if you want to come down with the assistance of the chair, you might press your palms into the chair and then 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, lower that knee to the ground, and then bring both knees down. This would be one option. And then we'll come down onto our backs. And I'm going to use the chair as a support for figure 4. So the way I'm going to do this is come onto my back, bring both legs on the chair, which is also a really nice inversion. I would probably want the blanket underneath or on the seat for legs on a chair, but we can use this for figure 4, and that allows us to soften the whole entire upper body. So you can wrap your left ankle on your right thigh and then draw that right foot to the edge of the chair. So you're drawing the whole shape in towards your body. And then this allows for hopefully a nice stretch through the left hip, which did a lot of work. So once more, as you sit with that sensation, you might send your breath into any of those areas and soften, sending little bubbles of gratitude down to the hip, down to the lower back. Let's take one more nice deep breath on this side. Of course, you can always linger longer if you would like. Love all that alliteration. We'll stretch both legs long. This time, bring your right ankle on your left thigh. Slide the heel down to the chair, to the edge of the chair. You can also do this at the wall. It's really nice to do at the wall because my chair is actually slipping a little bit away from me. And of course, another variation is to weave your hands around your left thigh and draw that to your body. But if that feels like it's too far away, could also use a strap behind your left thigh. And so I'll just demonstrate what that would look like if you did want to hold on. This might offer a deeper stretch, but for me, it feels like I have to do too much extra work to hold this. So if you're holding it, maybe you invite yourself to soften through your grip, through your chest and shoulders. Sending the breath deep into those areas of sensation and offering them gratitude. The next shape is Shavasana. So from here, feel free to find a comfortable resting position. A fun option with the chair could be to put a blanket on the seat of the chair for padding, and then to rest the legs up the chair. And this is a really nice way to receive support, to help flip yourself literally upside down. Wherever you land today, right now, in your final resting pose, notice where you can soften, practicing aparigraha, non-attachment. Notice where in the body there might be holding, and invite it to release. Imagine the earth is rising to support you, allowing you to soften all of your effort. Soften through your forehead, your sweet, delicate eyelids, your strong, powerful jaw. Allow your shoulders to rest heavy on the earth. Now bring your awareness into your heart center where your intention was born. Imagine that picturesque landscape and notice if it's maybe even changed. And then remind yourself softly, gently that you can always come back here, come back home into your body, into your breath, into this picturesque landscape at your heart center. Start to bring the journey backwards, back out to the outside world, gently, slowly, by deepening your breath, and knowing that you can always linger here longer. If you feel ready to awaken the body, you can start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, gently rotate your wrists and your ankles, and then find a long body stretch, reaching the arms past the ears. You might even yawn or sigh, and then allow yourself to roll onto one side, finding a fetal position there, cradling your head on your upper arm. And then you can press yourself up into a seat whenever you feel ready. You might invite your hands to meet at your heart center. And then feel free to join me in chanting one round of Om and then singing together Shanti, 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 which means peace, peace, peace. Take a nice deep breath for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You can bow your head towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and privilege to guide you through your practice. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions about class. I'll pause the recording just a moment.